It is officially confirmed, the Sony a7S III, official name absolutely from Sony. It is officially confirmed. They are announcing the camera on July 28th at 10 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Let's talk about this. Hey, I'm Luke with Wedding Film Coach. Thanks so much for stopping by the channel and for watching this video. Hopefully it'll be quick and helpful to you. We are 12 days out from the official announcement of the Sony a7S III from Sony themselves. And so I wanted to take this video, since we have 12 days left before this official announcement or release or first look or whatever you want to call it. We have 12 days. I wanted to take this video to give you 12 ways you can start preparing for the a7S III. Number 12, ask yourself, do I really need to invest in this new camera right now? It seems we've been waiting for years for this camera to come out. We have been waiting for years, and now that it's finally here, almost here, all of us are probably ready to pull the trigger and get this camera, make that purchasing decision. But it's okay to slow down, try to let the excitement and all the hype kind of wash over you, and then think, do I really need to invest in this right now? Am I experiencing bottlenecks in my workflow? Am I experiencing limitations on the quality that I can present to my clients? Do you feel like if you got this camera that had better specs that allowed you to produce higher quality work, would that actually produce higher paying clients for your work, or would it produce higher paying projects for the clients that you already work with right now? Definitely a good question to ask. Number 11, research. Again, it is totally okay to be super excited about this camera right now, but again, let's think about it. Is this actually the right camera for you right now? There are so many great options out there for cameras right now that would probably be an improvement for you or an upgrade to your current camera set. And I just wanted to pull this up real quick, the Panasonic Lumix S1H. I did a few videos about this camera last year when it came out, and it is an incredible camera, everybody. It has 6K video recording, Vlog. It can't shoot RAW right now. I think there is an update coming out for that soon, if it's not already updated. I haven't kept on track with that real good. But it can do 10-bit video. 422 has so many great options, so that's a good option. Of course, we have the Canon R5 and Canon R6 that were just announced. Even the Panasonic GH5, which many of you are already using, is a great camera, and some of you may consider upgrading to that if you're not ready for this big step up to the Sony a7S III from what we know about it so far. The next thing I want to talk about is SD storage, the SD cards that we put in our cameras to record the footage that we get. And so there's several things you need to know about SD cards, but as far as a real quick overview, I may go back and do a video about this later, more of a deep dive, but here's the thing you need to look for. So I'm on Amazon here, search for SD card. You're going to find all kinds of different options. I'm going to click on this one right here. This is the SanDisk Extreme Pro version. This specific one is 64 gigabytes and 170 megabytes per second. What do you need to look for as far as video is concerned for your SD cards? You need to look at the storage capacity, obviously, but you also need to look for this V30, this thing right here. Now, this will get you kind of standard 4K. If you're just shooting in standard 4K, this will work in the Sony a7 III, the Sony a7S II. This means that it's going to give you a consistent write speed to the car, like the video is, when you're filming the video, it's writing that data, it's writing that footage to the card. It gives you a consistent write speed of at least 30 megabytes per second. Now, if you want some higher bit rates, it's rumored that this Sony a7S III is going to have a 600 megabit per second option. If you want that, you need to get something that is at least V90 rated, and unfortunately the price jumps up quite a bit from that. Let's look for one. SD card V90. And the first one that comes up here is this Pro Grade. I really don't know anything about this brand, but it has some good reviews, so let's click on it. We have three different options here: 64 gigabyte, 128, and 256. It is a U3 Class 10, UHS 2, which is really important, and then V90. This thing is going to make sure you don't experience any bottlenecks or any limitations on your filming options when you're using the a7s III as far as what we know from the rumors right now. Next is number 9, hard drive storage. And this goes for external and internal. You need to prepare your storage for this new camera. So with greater bit rates per second, you're going to experience higher file sizes than really ever before on a Sony camera. We've always been limited to 100 megabits per second on Sony cameras, and so hopefully we'll get at least 600 and maybe even a few options in between 100 and 600 depending on what kind of footage we're filming. But you need a big hard drive. You need a big external hard drive, and this is one that I've got several of right now. It's the Seagate 8 terabyte external hard drive, and it's USB 3.0, and this has a lot of storage, 8 terabytes. You think that that is more than you will ever need, but I promise you, you will fill this up in at least a season if you're doing any kind of regular work with your video with these cameras. And so get at least an 8 terabyte. There's all kinds of different options. The 8 terabyte is a really good price right now, $145, $145.99. This is a great option. Check this out, link in the description. Also, you might want to check out your internal storage option. Many of you might not even want to deal with changing out your internal storage, but for those of you who do and that you're familiar with, check out a solid state drive, M.2. I just Amazon searched this real quick, internal M.2 SSD, and came up with several different options here. It looks like there's a cheap option with Kingston. It's just a 240 gig SSD. I would probably want something a little bigger, at least a terabyte. Let's see if we can find one. Here's one from Sabrent, 1 terabyte Rocket. Okay, M.2. So this looks like it would be a good option, just $200. Definitely take some time to look through all the fine print there and the details, but you want a really fast internal storage option. That way, that's not going to be a bottleneck or a limitation in your editing system. We'll talk about some of those things next. Number 8, make sure that your editing software is updated to make sure you're using the most recent features and upgrades that it offers. I'm here on the Adobe Premiere Pro website, and I know in the most recent release of Adobe Premiere Pro, they went ahead and upgraded the software to be able to handle all kinds of different formats, from Canon RAW to even ProRes HDR. And I even think that they allow for, well, I know they do because I just tried some. We'll talk about that next. They allow for RED RAW files as well. So whatever you're using, whether it's Final Cut, DaVinci Resolve, Premiere Pro, just make sure you go ahead and update that software to its latest release so you'll be ready to go for the new files. Number 7, go ahead and check your existing editing machine for how it's going to handle these larger file sizes and maybe even raw output from Sony. And so one way you can do this, of course, you can look at the specs and you can study that. I'm not a big tech head, and so I just thought, hey, I'm going to go a very practical route here and just download some raw footage and then put that in my editing software in Premiere Pro and see how my computer handles it. So that's just what I did. I went here to the red.com website, go to sample R3D files, find something in here. I went all the way down to the bottom, and there's a few 4K options. I think 4K is all we're going to get in the a7s III for right now. Those are the rumors that we have. And so download a few of these clips, and then come in to your editing software. And I went ahead and imported those into my editing software, put them in a timeline, and I did a few different things. Let's go here. This is the red footage, and this is, I have it at half resolution. Let me change it to full, and I'm just going to play this back and see how it goes. It's pretty smooth for a couple of seconds, and then as it plays, it starts getting choppy and losing frames, and now it's pretty bad right now. And so one easy way you can kind of not really work around this, but make it less stressful on your machine, is change that resolution down here to half. You even have a 4th, 8th, or 16th. Let's just try half right now. And it's playing pretty smooth playback. I bet as I start putting on different color grades or different effects, it would start slowing down. So again, I could even change this resolution down to a 4th or 8th, and it's going to make it a lot easier to work with. You can also create proxies. I'll show you that real quick. Come over here in your bin. Select any clip that you want to make a proxy of. Right click in the pop-up window, choose proxy, scroll over to create proxies, It'll bring up a dialog box. You can tell it what kind of proxy you want to make. Even an H.264 low resolution proxy would be fine. You can do QuickTime and do ProRes, low resolution. Any of these should, just try it out, see what works best for your machine, but any of those should be better than working directly with raw files. And then once you have those proxies created, here underneath your playback window, there's this little icon that says toggle proxies. It's like two little boxes with arrows kind of going around in circles. Click that on. And now I'm going to go ahead and change this back to full, and this is the full resolution of the proxy, and it should play back with no skip frames at all. Yeah, it's really smooth now. So that's one way to make sure that your editing machine can handle the new files that we're going to get from this new camera. And I forgot to mention this, but real quick, let me take these proxies off. Okay, so now we're working with the full resolution raw files. It's at full. Look over here on I have my task manager up in my performance window. So I'm going to go ahead and play this, and my CPU, see that up at the top right, top left corner, jumps up to 100% immediately. This is fully taxing my CPU. Unfortunately, Premiere Pro is not as optimized as some of the other editing softwares out there. So you see down here my GPU, it's only using about 14% of it. I wish that it would use more of that, but it's not. But anyway, it is capping out my CPU. So I know that with this specific machine, it's my CPU that is going to hold me up if I don't use some of these workarounds, such as proxies or using the lower resolution. Let me come back here. Let me turn my proxies back on. Come back to that same clip. Let my CPU kind of wind down just for a second. Okay, it's at about 50%, 60% right now. I'm going to go ahead and play this. Okay, it jumps up, but now it's hovering around 70 to 90%. And so it's definitely handling that. There's no bottlenecks anymore. So those proxies can certainly be a lifesaver. Okay, we're gonna fly through these next few. Number 6 is, do you have the right kind of editing monitor? And so real quick, I just wanna show you one that I'm really interested in. Specifically, it's this LG curved 38-inch 21:9. That means it's wide screen aspect and it's curved ultra wide with HDR10. This is the 2018 model. You don't have to have the newest thing out there. I think this one is definitely going to be an improvement for me. Would allow me to have that HDR functionality, and so that's probably the one I'm going to get. You can do your own research and find a good one for your setup. Number 5, make sure you have a good camera monitor / recorder. Again, with all these new formats that we're just not certain of yet for Sony, you may actually need an external recorder to capture the 4K raw output, and it's even rumored that the 120 frames per second might need an external recorder as well. And so a good one that a lot of people recommend is the Atomos Ninja 5, and I believe that recently, within the last year or so, it did come out to support RAW for the Nikon Z6 and Z7. And so I wouldn't purchase this just yet, but as you're thinking about it and as you're comparing and contrasting different products to make a purchasing decision, check out the Ninja 5. I think it's a great option. It's reasonably priced for what it can get you. Number 4, batteries. And so with any camera, you're always going to want to have extra batteries to make sure that you're never having to wait around on a shoot to charge your batteries up. The camera should come with at least one battery. Sony surprised us when they released the a7 III. It came with a battery, but it did not come with a charger. And so all that to say, check out what your battery options are. I went ahead and pulled this up. Sometimes it's a risk to get a third-party battery, but I did find these on Amazon. These are compatible with the a7 III and the new a7R camera, and so I would assume, a big assumption, that the Sony a7s III will use the same battery as well. They may come out with something like Canon did, where it's like a more efficient kind of battery but can still use these. But anyway, this would be a good purchase to go ahead and upgrade your batteries or to get more batteries, and this one also comes with a charger. Again, I'll put all these links in the description. Number 3, color grading. If you don't already feel comfortable or have much experience with color grading, especially log footage, go ahead and spend some time practicing that on your footage that you already have. Even go out and shoot some more with your a7s II or your a7 III or whatever kind of camera you have. It should be able to shoot some sort of log footage. Go ahead and practice with that, because to get the most out of the a7s III, you are going to want to shoot in some of those HLG or some of those log profiles to get all that color data out of it. One thing you can also do is, of course, look on YouTube for tutorials, or even buy a paid course if you want to kind of streamline that education process and that learning system. Number 2, plan a project to use the camera with. In light of COVID-19, a lot of us have less work than we would like during this time, and so that means that we may not have a project coming up for a few weeks or maybe even a few months after this camera comes out. You do not want this camera to be sitting in your camera bag or in a closet somewhere and not be able to use it after you get it. We've waited so long for it. We need to use this. So go ahead and be planning a project, whether it's maybe a styled shoot, or whether it's a commercial for a local business, or whether you just want to take your family out and get some footage on a hike or something. Plan something where you can get some experience, some hands-on experience with this camera after you get it. And number one, set a reminder on your calendar for the official announcement on July 28th at 10 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. I know this sounds silly, but you do not want to miss this. If they start letting you pre-order these as soon as the announcement is over, you want to be first in line, because I feel like this is going to be a really hot camera, that pre-orders are going to be through the roof, and you do not want to be sitting around until September or October or even November and not have your camera because you didn't get your pre-order in time. So make sure you're watching that live announcement on July 28th. If they stream this announcement, I will do my best to try to stream along with that and embed it in my stream so we can watch it together, and maybe we can even talk about what we see afterwards. That would be a lot of fun. And 1B, the next thing you can do as a part of this is to subscribe to this channel. Hit that bell for notifications, because I'm going to be releasing a lot of content as we approach July 28th. And even after that, I'm going to be giving more thoughts, because we'll have hopefully all of the specs at that point. There may even be some surprises in the closet. We saw that with the Canon release of their R5 and R6, everything that people are finding out about the overheating, which is kind of scary. So something like that may happen with Sony's new camera, but I will keep you up to date for sure. So make sure to subscribe, stay tuned to this channel. I would really appreciate that. Hey, well, that is it for this video. Thanks so much for watching. I hope these 12 ways to prepare for the a7S III were practical and helped you think about some things that you need to do before the a7S III comes out. I'm sure I have plenty of other videos on this topic, so be sure to check those out, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.